Welcome to Eye on Sports, where we delve into the biggest Butler County sports topics. I'm your host, Butler Eagle Sports writer Derek Pyda. Joining me are fellow sports writer Brendan Howe and Eagle Sports editor Jake Miranda Adams.
I was like, Brendan's never going to speak to me again. Brendan's already taken his headphones off. He's done. He's like, I'm checking out.
Let me put it to you this way.
Derek.
Week 4 of the season, I legitimately wanted to blow most of the team up. At least the coaching staff was completely checked out on Nick Sirianni. I was ready for the season to be over with already. They come out of that bye. They turn the defense around. The offense starts to get humming a little bit. I still have my reservations about Nick Sirianni, but I kept the same negative energy the entire season because that is what the team required of me. And then I brought my A game on Super Bowl Sunday because that's what the team required of me. The standard is the standard, and now we are Super Bowl champions. Go Birds!
So for anyone who's just listening, this is sort of the facial expressions of Derek and Brendan.
Letting him have his moment.
But I did root for the Eagles, so
I will not be an arrogant fan today. I didn't think I would see one Super Bowl championship in my life. I definitely didn't think I was going to see 2.
They just played their fight song.
That is the worst I'm going to be. I'm not going to get in anyone's face about it. I'm not going to throw it in Brendan's face. I'm not going to throw it in Tim's face. I have some other friends who have rooted for
I'm
the
going to
Chiefs.
throw it in Tim's face.
you guys have to maybe explain a little bit more to the listeners who Tim is exactly.
Tim works in our composing room on graphics and stuff like that. He's a big Chiefs fan. I don't know.
And he's been one for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
Not since Patrick Mahomes got on the roster.
It's been very amicable between him and I. I've basically not wanted to talk about the Eagles because, again, this is what the team required of me all season. So I made sure that I kept to my standard, and it worked. I actually almost screwed up last night. I was sitting on the wrong side of the couch, and I had to change seats midway through the first quarter, and that's when they scored.
I want to make sure we got something straight here. You're saying that all year you were negative, not because you really were down on the team, but just because you didn't want to jinx things.
It was definitely negative to start, like legitimately negative to start, because they're 2-2. Nick Sirianni is making a bunch of bumbling mistakes. He's yelling at the fans after a ho-hum, like a bad win. It was not a good win in week 6. And so I didn't believe in this team until about December. But you cannot tempt the football gods. They will spite the crap out of you.
You don't want to jinx things.
So once this felt like there was some legitimacy here, you had to fire Sirianni more often. That was the game plan each week. We executed that game plan to perfection.
Fire him mid-game.
But here's the thing. I was ready. I was ready all game, and he gave me almost nothing to fire him for. He actually was so much better than I expected that I couldn't even perform. I was the Saquon Barkley of fans last night. I was ready, but I wasn't called upon. I wasn't needed to carry the win because everyone else around me did their job.
Not when the Eagles are feasting on Patrick Mahomes like he's Fran Tarkenton in Super Bowl IX. No.
That was – so 6 years ago was like I cried in Philadelphia and then ran towards Broad Street, and we had a party for like an hour, and then I left and the city kept going. It was – I did not think that Super Bowl was possible. And even when the ball falls in the end zone on Tom Brady's last-second Hail Mary, I'm like, they're going to throw a flag. Like, there's going to be a pass interference here, and Brady's going to get a shot at the one. And they don't. And so I didn't think that was possible. Last night, I did not expect to see that kind of performance. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Just to be devil's advocate right here, Brendan looks really disappointed right now to be in this room. But think, like, how did you celebrate when Ohio State, right? How do you celebrate when, like, the Steelers won the Super Bowl?
I almost forget what it's like for the Steelers to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but were you this excited? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
He was only
like,
10.
We kind of got.
I was only 10.
But we kind of got to let him, like, have his moment, don't you think? In a way,
I'm not
if
so
we're
much mad at
fans,
the fact that Philadelphia won. I'm
you're
mad at the fact
you're
that
mad at Kendrick Lamar.
I don't even want to go there today.
Okay, we don't have to go there.
We're going there.
Oh.
We're going there.
Let's just.
I ranked that the second best halftime performance of my lifetime.
He's so mad.
Behind
He's
Prince.
so mad.
Prince
What
is
are we
number
talking
1.
about?
So
That was artistically a really good halftime show. But the Birds
I was
won.
asleep during the whole thing. Literally, I was. I fell asleep from about 5 minutes left in the first half until about 5 minutes gone in the second half.
I'm sorry.
Look, so Brendan trash talked me at the beginning or right before the game started today. I didn't even respond because I was just like, I'm just going to let him do his thing. I cannot be distracted by outside noise today. Got to focus on the task at hand. Respect to Brendan for playing the game there, but I could not play back, and here we are. I didn't run down my neighborhood last night and climb any light poles. We didn't do that. Couldn't really do that.
Did you
in
go outside
Mars.
and bang pots and pans?
I didn't. I was wondering if my neighbor could actually hear me through the wall because I was legitimately shouting in the third quarter.
I was wondering. We should have had Mallory videotape you or something.
I'm
right?
surprised she
Don't
didn't.
You think?
I'm surprised
so we
she
could have
didn't.
had that. We need that.
I almost
Could
sent
you
her
just
into
go home tonight and redo what you did?
I almost sent her into the basement last night because she was being so negative about things not related to the game. And I was like, your job is to either distract yourself this entire night and not focus on the game like you've done all season, or you need to leave. I was like, if you're going to sit here and yell about things that are going on in this game for the first time all year, we have a problem because this is not what this team is asking of us. She turned it around. She got it just like everyone else on the team at the middle of the first quarter. We could turn everything around, won the game.
So regarding, I want to, first of all, I want to make one thing clear. I was rooting for the Eagles last night. Not because I'm an Eagles fan, just because I did not want to see Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Taylor Swift and the Travis Kelce love fest happen. I heard that if they won, he was going to propose to her at the 50-yard line.
The second time, second year in a row. Yeah.
I am so glad we didn't have to witness that. But regarding Patrick Mahomes,
I want to see that, but
first of all, the good.
Should have still done it.
I'm not a Mahomes fan, but he could retire today, and he's a Hall of Famer.
First ballot.
What is it? 7 straight AFC Championship games, 3 Super Bowl wins, incredible stats. I actually saw this stat over the weekend, which blew my mind. He's actually Kansas City's all-time leader in postseason rushing yards.
Oh wow!
I think he had like 541 entering the game last night. But now the bad, the other quarterbacks that have had great careers in the Super Bowl: Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, obviously Tom Brady. He has now played 2 duds of a Super Bowl against Tampa and against Philadelphia.
I don't think they were either of his fault though.
No, they weren't. But he was bad because of what happened.
When Russell Wilson had a bad game against the Bengals at the end of the year, everybody was pounding on him, but nobody talks about the 3 drops, and they were drops that George Pickens had right in his fan.
But it wasn't drops last night. It was the fact that Patrick Mahomes couldn't run right or left or up the middle or climb a pocket whatsoever.
No,
so you love Patrick Mahomes, okay?
How many times he got sacked?
Six.
Six.
Do you remember Ben Roethlisberger's career? The guy literally was at his best when he had guys hanging off of him.
Yeah.
Literally.
That offensive line in the 2 Super Bowls they've lost have been 2 of the worst offensive lines in Super Bowl history. But
easily. It also proves that everybody wants to talk about Mahomes. You have to have help.
Yes.
It's not nothing.
It's a team.
Nothing in football is done single-handedly. Nothing.
No.
Literally.
It was the only thing that could have made that defensive performance better last night was if Brandon Graham got in on a sack. I was cheering for him so badly with that busted arm. It was an incredible story for him to even be playing 2 months later. And he's the guy who got the strip sack against Brady 7 years ago. So you're wanting the full circle moment of he wins it then. And this was a guy who in 2010 was drafted, was considered a bust within 2 years. Eagles fans wanted him gone. And he just steadily improved. He's had his best seasons in the back half of his career in his 30s, and that's not a thing that defensive ends typically do. So you wanted that full circle moment of he gets the game-winning play after being lambasted for most of his career in the Patriots Super Bowl. They lose against the Chiefs a few years later. Here he is coming back in a season that we all think that he's going to retire. He was injured at the midway point in the season. Everyone thought his career is over. It was a torn triceps off the muscle. Comes back, and he gets to play a few downs in that game. The only thing that could have made that story any better is if he gets a sack. That would have been phenomenal. Right off into the sunset, my man.
Right. I never thought I would have seen this last night. The Chiefs crossed the 50 for the first time late in the third quarter. What?
I know.
What was that?
I know.
I mean, what are we doing here? I mean,
yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. It was like the third quarter when they actually started really coming in and playing, and I was like, oh man.
You know who had the best receptions all game? I was just thinking about this. Cooper DeJean, Zach Bond.
Oh, yes.
Those are some really good. Zach Bonds was a diving catch, too. That was impressive for a linebacker.
Yeah.
That dude got paid this offseason.
Yeah, it's it just goes to show you. This actually shows what the Chiefs have done, even through last night, how incredible they've been because they were going for the three-peat. It is so difficult in this league to win a Super Bowl and even just get back, let alone win 2 straight. And they did that, last year and the year before. It just shows you how tough it is to win in this league. And that I do have to tip my cap to the Chiefs.
There's any positive?
They've been dominant. They've been in the conference title 7 straight years, which is just crazy.
If there's any positive, the Steelers were within 1 score of the Eagles without George Pickens in the 3rd quarter on the road.
And
so
they were down in the second half to the Chiefs 16-10 before they
shows you how close the league is.
Decided to start celebrating Christmas on Christmas.
Like it's not like this is like week 3 college football games where they're all 30-point blowouts except for like 1 or 2 a week. Like the NFL is really close almost every week. I mean, the Texans almost beat the Chiefs a couple times this year.
Right. The talent level between the best team in the league and the bottom team in the league is not all that fun.
Yeah.
I think a lot of credit goes to coordinators and obviously quarterbacks. I mean, you look at who were the last 4 teams standing this year.
3 of the best quarterbacks, and then Jalen Hurts, who has been really questioned.
You know what? I like that you're actually like self-aware about it.
Oh no, like legitimately, Jalen Hurts had me
MVP. Jalen Hurts.
He had me legitimately questioning him a chunk of the season, but it was getting to the point where I was like, is it him or is it the offensive coordinator? Because this is now like his 4th offensive coordinator in the NFL, and he's regressed since that last Super Bowl. I was confused by him, and man,
he had some bad throws last night. He had that one to
that interception.
He had some really
awful.
bad throws.
That interception was awful. I know he got blitzed, and I know it was in his face, but you got to get that towards the sideline in some way. I know it's off of his back foot, but there was nothing on that ball. No wonder it was picked.
No, let's talk for just 1 minute about something Brendan definitely has thoughts on. The last play of the Super Bowl last night, Kenny Pickett comes on to take the knee. He didn't seem happy about it. Did you see his body language? Just like, it didn't look like he was just a member of a Super Bowl winning team. He was just like took the snap, took the ball, and just like kind of flipped it to the right.
My best friend is a Kenny Pickett apologist. He's a Pitt fan. He will, rightfully so, he'll stick with that memory of the Pitt ACC championship and the dumb fake slide for the rest of his life because he's a Pitt fan. They don't get to have a lot of fun. I'm getting ready to leave to come back here to put the story on the page and finish up because I came in early in the day to get things done. And he, no joke, stood up off his couch, stood in front of the TV and clapped. And he said, "You keep that ball, you deserve that, kid." I was like, I'm out of here. I was like, he was applauding Kenny Pickett taking a kneel down in a Super Bowl. I was like, this is ridiculous.
You know who the Eagles need to face next now when they get back to the Super Bowl in 3 to 6 years? The Raiders.
Oh, God.
Because we only win on rematches.
Yes.
We only win on rematches.
45 years ago, yeah. Jim Plunkett comes out to flip the coin.
The Shedeur Sanders-led Raiders.
Gosh.
Oh, I would love it. I would love the Shedeur-led Raiders going against the Eagles in 2029.
I had to write for my side jobs this weekend. It was Shedeur's birthday on Friday, I think, and he had like a podcast on Radio Row. They're giving him cakes and stuff, and I'm thinking they give him this cake. It's a money bag cake with... It's a cake in the shape of a money bag with $100 bills and gold chains around it. Like $100 bills are spilling out of it. Here I am. I'm thinking, I write these stories for $8 a piece. I'm writing a story about this spoiled little brat whose dad was an NFL player and his coach, so he's going to the NFL. And meanwhile, he's having a birthday cake that's money. I was like, I hate this. Like,
do you have beef with Saquon Barkley? Like, if there's one player is there one player on the Eagles team that you are like, okay, I was
telling my best friend last night that Saquon Barkley is the best college football player I've seen in my entire life. So I respect that fact. I don't think he's outwardly like arrogant. I don't like AJ Brown for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Jalen Hurts for that reason.
Jalen Hurts says nothing.
Hello.
But yeah, I don't have any problem with Saquon.
Hi. Sorry, we're in the heated conversation here. I'll introduce you real quick. I know you can't see the guys, but this is Andrew Still. I had him on the podcast. So we have Jake Murda Adams is our editor. Say hi.
Go Birds.
He's the Eagles fan who came in fully
Oh, I wanted to bring my Gritty
He's in face paint and everything.
Funko Pop today and like a whole bunch of other stuff today. I just ran out of time before leaving home today. So you guys got like the subdued version of this.
Okay, yeah.
Dawkins jersey and hat. We're good to go. Super Bowl 52 hat.
Yep. And then Derek Pyda is our host.
Ron Jaworski is the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time.
And he knows like every stat on probably every single football player ever to live and probably beyond that. And then Brendan Howe, who's not happy today.
I despise Kenny Pickett.
So there. Thanks, Andrew,
thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'll let you guys.
Nice to meet all of you.
I'll let you guys chat.
So Andrew, how did you? What superstitions did you have to uphold last night? I had to make sure that I moved to the right part of the couch last night to root for the team. I made sure that I had the same drink next to me all night. What were you doing to uphold the standard of the Birds?
So I went to the Super Bowl in 2023, and this year I didn't. I gave up. My brother works for the Eagles, so I get season tickets, and I gave up the first playoff game to a friend of mine. Then I superstitiously had to give up the rest of the games, including the Super Bowl. So I didn't go to New Orleans superstitiously because we lost last time and I didn't go to any playoff games. So on top of that, I guess I wore the same jersey, and yeah, I had to get up, and I did dry January, so I had to chug a non-alcoholic beer before the game. So a lot of different superstitions.
So tell me, how long have you been an Eagles fan? And how did you become one?
We actually we moved to Cherry Hill, New Jersey from Swickley, Pennsylvania in 1995. So back then we were all, I guess, we lived in the same neighborhood as Mario Lemieux, so we were Penguins, Steelers. My parents grew up in Staten Island, so they were kind of Giants fans, but when we moved to South Jersey, that's when the fandom started, I think. So 1995.
So you lived through, what was it, 3 or 4 straight NFC champion? 3 straight NFC champion, and then they made the one, then lost the Patriots.
Yeah, 4 straight that they made it to, and only one that they won.
I got to ask you, I don't want to take the attention away from last night's game, but what was that win like back in the 17 season? That was the first one after all those heartbreaks in the NFC Championship game with Andy Reid. Then you get to the Super Bowl, lose to the Patriots in 2004. What was the first one like for you 7 years ago?
It was incredible. There's also a lot of superstition back then as well. Off the cuff here, I'll try to give a quick synopsis, but I had been studying for an exam for, the CPA exam back then, and I would go into the office every morning and superstitiously had to take a video in the same spot. It was like directed at the William Penn statue, which the city considered bad luck because they built buildings taller than it. I had to get a drink at the same bar before every game, and I ended up renting out the entire bar and inviting everyone to it. It was special. I lived at like 12th and Walnut, and we ran up to the street when we won the NFC Championship, and then when we won the Super Bowl. So, it got a little out of hand, and I was able to safely walk back home, but a couple days later, we had the parade, and every one of my friends that came to the Central Hub, which was my apartment. But it was super special. I met my wife a couple days after that, and I was supposed to be at that one as well. But again, superstition, I decided not to go. So.
I'm sure you had confidence, unlike Jake here, that the Eagles were going to pull last night's game out. But how surprised were you that it was a blowout? I mean, the Chiefs didn't cross the 50-yard line until late in the third quarter. How surprised were you at the way the game played out?
I was, very confident in the team. It's like we dominated everyone, and then I put up 55 against Washington. Like, going into the game last night, I was only scared because of the whole ref thing and thinking Kansas City's going to get the calls, and then that fourth down offensive pass interference in the first series of the game really got me worried.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to happen again. And maybe I think
little bit of a makeup call the next drive.
I don't know. I think that first penalty was warranted. I argued with my friends about that.
It was
any
borderline.
hands to the face.
Yeah,
is gonna get
the hands to
called.
the face. I think
so
is what it was.
If it was like him pushing him on the shoulder, maybe that slides. But he put his hand to his face twice. So
yeah,
I thought that was fair.
I mean, and the next, like you said, it felt like it was a little bit of a makeup call. It was very ticky-tack, and like it looked worse in slow motion than it actually was. There was a couple plays later in the game that the slow motion made things look less worse than they were. Like there was a hit on Dallas Goedert right to the head that looked worse or better in slow motion.
Yeah.
But when it's fast, it's but yeah. After that second drive, we got that back. I kind of felt like the game was ours. Like Kansas City just looked like something was off. So
yeah,
pretty. I had a 2-year-old running around during the game, which was a little difficult, but it was. I felt pretty good, and then after Coop's interception, pick 6, that was like, all right, we win. I mean, I said that, and then it's like it's the Chiefs, so you can never count them out. So
yeah. So where do you live now? 12th and Walnut is like right in the middle of Philadelphia. Like I probably walked by that intersection a few times. Like, so where do you live now that you got family and everything for this game?
We moved last summer. We left the city. Moved to Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So.
Okay, nice.
Or back to where I grew up.
Yeah.
Same town.
Yeah.
I was gonna think it was funny if after the Gatorade shower, like the Chiefs score that touchdown, they're only, I think at that point, like 20 down.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, what if they get this onside score and then somehow score 2 more touchdowns in the last 2 minutes and win the game? Like, how funny that would have been. Everyone's like hugging on the sideline, the Gatorade shower. I would have thought that I would have died laughing.
See, I knew we could get a smell out of you today.
we were up 46, and my wife's looking at me. And sorry, I lost my voice yelling. My wife's looking at me like, "How can they win?" I was like, "Technically, yes." So we're not celebrating.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think it wasn't until the last Eagles touchdown where I was kind of like, Coop gets that interception. I'm like, okay, this feels like it's going our way. They get the pass to AJ Brown a little later into the end zone, and I was like, ooh, this is feeling really good right now. But it's like, okay, 24, 30-point lead. This is the one team in the world that can erase that pretty quick. But it was that last touchdown late in the game where I was kind of like, I think I can celebrate now. I hope, but I wasn't 100% sure yet.
I tried tricking Bailey. She said, she's like, why are they still trying? They're down by whatever. I said, I don't think I've ever told you, but there's this magical play. If you score with under 2 minutes left, you get 35 points. And she didn't like that too much. So.
That's funny. We have a friend, we call him Mush. Like, what was that movie? A Bronx Tale.
Yes.
The Mush guy, everything he says or if he shows up, it's bad luck. Yes. Well, he started bringing garlic in his pockets to games and stuff and trying to reverse the mush. But in the middle of the game, he goes, "Who's going to Broad Street?" And we all went, "No!"
Oh, man.
So we almost kicked him out of the group chat, but luckily, I think the garlic he'd been using worked.
My wife 2 weeks ago, before the NFC Championship game even started, she goes, "So do you want to go to Philly for the Super Bowl if they win?" And I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Don't do this. Don't bring this juju on us."
They actually did have to close. I saw this on the news last night.
They blocked off City Hall.
There's quite a few people at Pitt from Philly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's like
they're marching through the streets.
They actually had to close a few streets last night because they were Philly fans. Like they were kind of like blocking intersections, celebrating.
You moved to Pittsburgh.
I don't claim them though. Some people will make us Philadelphia lump us all into one. There's always men men and women that want to watch the world burn. So
yeah.
I got to ask you this because you've now been in Philly for what, 3 decades?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Are you a Rocky fan? Do you like Rocky?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody.
Wow. Hey, right here, we gotta have a Rocky marathon to introduce Brendan to.
So Brendan, what is it again? You haven't seen Rocky, or you don't want? I don't know how you say
it. I played some of the PlayStation 2 video game.
We like to talk about movies on here, and we bring up movies that he hates, and I'm like, you can't hate Rocky, or you're not gonna
bring up movies that I don't
get out.
Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah.
Andrew, I'll share this with you. When they won in 2018, I was in South Philly with some friends, and when they won, I didn't believe that final Hail Mary was like incomplete. I thought there was a flag. So like there was like a 10, 15 second delay before we all started shouting in the apartment building that I was in. We ran down the Broad, and my favorite part about that whole thing was like I think I saw 5 or 6 people with trombones just playing the fight song. Like trombones. Why is it trombones? I have no idea, but it was like 5 or 6 trombones on South Broad just playing the Eagles fight song all night. It was
I
great.
was a trombone player. Don't knock the trombones.
I'm not, but it's just like of all the instruments you're
trombone.
gonna. Yeah, it's like you think trumpet. You think it's gonna be a trumpet or something like that because it's smaller and more compact. But it was like
French
5
horns.
or 6 trombones.
French horns.
Somebody with the big one, the sousaphone.
There you
Just
go.
walking down.
Is mayonnaise an
Yeah,
instrument?
There's a video, Laura, if you're in the studio, and on my Instagram, there's like a pinned video of the 2 of my friends at the time. They've been Eagles fans since they were like 6 together, and they're crying in the bar, like hugging each other.
I'll show them. Yeah, I'll show them when we hop off.
Love
Yes.
it. Love it. Hey, Andrew, it's good to talk to a fellow Birds fan today. I don't got a lot around me right now, so just having someone be that I could just yell "Go Birds" at is I appreciate that. Thank you.
When Justin Fields wins it all for us next year, I'll be the one celebrating.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
a
you,
good day.
Andrew.
You all. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. We're good people. I saw someone. I was at Sheetz getting gas before coming into work here, and someone saw my hat, and he like rips open his jacket, shows me an Eagles shirt, and he's just like, "Go Birds!" I was like, "Go Birds!"
You guys got to stay in Philly. Go home. See, what I was gonna say is, you moved to Pittsburgh.
I didn't have a choice in that matter.
Hey, you had a choice. All these students at Pittsburgh,
You're not married.
at Pitt, came from Philly. They know what the better city is. If you're coming here when you could be there, that's all I'm gonna say.
See, I don't have a choice in that matter. There's another one in my life who was very adamant that it was not going to be towards Philadelphia. If I had my say, Philadelphia, that city, regardless of the Eagles, that
You don't
city
have the
has a
bridges.
special.
You don't have PNC Park
Yeah, we have the home of Constitution and Liberty Bell
and
Independence
Hoagie,
Hall.
crime.
no, no more than most other cities. It's fine.
I see a lot of videos. I can't say that. I can't say that.
Philly is not nearly as bad as it's made out to be. I love that city. It like when I came back to Philly for the first time in 2022 after we moved away to Madison, I didn't get a chance to go back at all for 2 years, and we drove down from the art museum into Center City because for whatever reason that was the way that the GPS took us in, and I like damn near cried just seeing City Hall because it'd been like 2.5 years. Like I left. The last time I had been in Philly was a week after my 30th birthday, and it was to say goodbye to all of my friends because we were moving. So like I didn't know when I was coming back, and when I came back like 2.5 years later, like I was pretty emotional about that. Like that city is a special place to me.
What spot in Butler gets you choked up?
I don't
Of course,
know
you've
if
never left, but
yeah, I don't know if there's any spot in Butler.
Walmart.
Walmart. It makes me cry the fact that I can't walk in Walmart past 11 p.m. anymore. That's
Well, there's older ladies looking at your legs. That's what it is.
Why can't you walk in Walmart past 11 o'clock?
they're closed at 11 now. It used to be open 24/7. Me and my friends, when we were bored, would just go walk laps around Walmart, like mess around.
Cause trouble.
Well, usually
probably
they're
why they
restocking.
close at 11
That's probably
o'clock.
why now. Yeah.
Way to ruin it for the rest of us. I
You
used to
just
hang
told
out
them
at
who
2 in the
you
morning
are.
too.
My dad worked there, so they knew who I was. But
Paul.
yeah, you
Hey,
remember the
Paul.
name?
Yeah, I remember Paul. I don't remember your dad's name, though. I feel like that's the one I should be remembering.
Big John.
Big
John.
Not
You
Little
know.
John or Medium John.
I mean, can we just,
Anywho.
anyways.
One final thought on the Super Bowl. I know Jake doesn't want to get into it, but the fact that Kendrick Lamar centered his entire show, it felt like he waited the entire show just to, for lack of a better word, go to the bathroom on Drake. That was soft. No one knew it. I'm telling you guys, I am a Drake loyalist. I did not listen.
I can tell.
I did not listen to any of Kendrick
You
Lamar's new
don't
album.
say.
I didn't know any of the songs. Obviously, nobody else did. I couldn't understand what he was saying. It
The
sounded like he
audio was a
mumbling.
little off, yeah.
And then he was so happy to go to bat on Drake. It's like, you're at the Super Bowl. Like, why are you so lame? Like,
it's the ultimate.
And the NFL. How does the NFL allow that?
He got
the fact that
freedom of speech.
No, the fact that they are so worried. They're so worried about their image.
I was shocked they let him do that.
And then they let him say that.
Yeah.
In front of hundreds of millions.
He PG'd the crap out of his music.
Everyone knows. He goes, "Hey Drake." It's like,
yeah.
If I was Drake, I would have been waiting outside the stadium with a present. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh!
You know what?
Come on.
He got his payday. That's all he cares about. I don't think he cares about what Brendan Howe thinks.
I legitimately thought that.
Someone's gonna be calling here like, we need to have a conversation.
I didn't say what the present would be, so there's nothing.
Yeah. Well, we can all assume.
Hey, just like everybody else, the Super Bowl could assume.
Monday morning, we published the story on Miranda LaJevic, Knox girls wrestler. She's like number 19 or something in the country. I did a story on her for the past few weeks. She couldn't wrestle this season, which would have been her senior year and her only year with Knox girls wrestling program because she tore her labrum. Turns out she's a bit of a daredevil. She suffers from epilepsy. She has broken her back in gymnastics to the point where doctors told her to retire from gymnastics or she would one day be paralyzed. She has suffered multiple concussions that have kept her out of sports. So instead of taking it easy after breaking her back, she goes into American Ninja Warrior. And then when they tell her that she can no longer do that because of the height and the epilepsy combination where it could be dangerous if she fell, she decides to go into wrestling and becomes one of the nation's best high school wrestlers. So feature out today. We're going to have a video here. Thank you. We're going to have a video here, a short video here of me interviewing her and getting some video of her at the Butler girls wrestling tournament a couple weeks ago, where I kind of just watched her take photos for the team. She is basically their social media director and a part-time volunteer assistant coach for them because she has a lot of free time on her hands, as she says. But it's a really good story. Check it out. I hope you guys enjoy this video too.
I've been very grateful for having a boys team that was very supportive because I know for some other girls it wasn't always that way. So I was glad that Knox boys team is very respectful of all the girls. So
now how did you get into, or why did you want to help with the social media stuff, taking those videos and photos and coaching along the way with it?
I just figured I have a lot of extra spare time now that I can't do anything. And I coach this, that's my job. I coach gymnastics and Ninja Warrior, and I can't really spot right now, so I can't really go to work. So I have a lot of free time, and then I have my mom's camera, so I was like, well, I'll just take some pictures because I know everyone likes their pictures being taken. And they've really liked it, and then almost match days too. They find it really funny sending in pictures and stuff. So I was like, I'll just do this. I don't know who's going to do it next couple years. I guess we'll figure that out. Try and find fresh ones to do it because then they could do things.
What is it about? You're not the only one here. I see people that are lying down on the mat with their phones, taking vertical or horizontal video and stuff like that. So what is it about the social side of things that is helping? Does it help the sport? Is it to help the wrestlers? Is it just to give them something to look at and watch and maybe laugh at or study or something like that? Or is what is going into it?
I like rewatching my match to see what I could have done better, but what I also did good. It's positives and the negatives. But then also just to have it to compare it to old matches or future matches, to just see how much I've grown over the few years. And if I have to re-wrestle a certain person, I could be like, oh, I did this a lot better the last time, or different things like that. But I know everyone just kind of likes to have their match on video.
Okay. So what is it that the girls and guys, from what I understand too, like about what you're doing? What service are you providing, I guess?
I'm trying to promote the wrestling at our school because I know our school's kind of smaller and our wrestling team is on the smaller side, especially for our girls since it's newer. I'm trying to get more people to be interested in it. And I don't actually go to school. I do cyber school, so I can't be walking around school and be like, hey, join the wrestling team. Come give it a try. So it's really hard, especially with our wrestling room being in the intermediate school and not the high school. So a lot of people, I didn't even know until I joined the team that we had a wrestling team because our wrestling room's not high school. So I feel like by social media, which is really popular now, that people could see it through that and be like, oh, this looks really fun. Or, oh, they have someone taking pictures for them and things like that. I know everyone likes their sports photos stuff.
Yeah. What have you learned from video or social or promotion? What skills have you learned with this then?
I'm definitely learned to work social media a little better because I'm not very good with the social media and technology, and that's really what this generation has become. So I need to get better at it. And photography, I'd like to get into that a little bit more. I know I took some pictures at a clinic on Thursday night, which I was really blessed that I was asked to do that because it was something to promote my picture taking and everything. Not like it would ever be like anything serious, but it's a nice little fun hobby like on the side. But I've learned definitely like girls with that. I just keep working the social media can help. Like I know we had one girl, she did come out for the team, but she really likes it, but she's been having problems with like her iron levels. But she saw like the Instagram post that she thought looked fine. So I was like, oh, so we at least got one person. Maybe in the next couple of years we can get like 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, seed watch.
Is it helping at all with recruiting for guys or girls right now?
It's helped a little bit. Like I think 2 boys came out to the team and 1 girl. I'm trying like for the next few years. I know there's a couple people that seem interested, so I'm hoping they will. Like I know the one girl wanted to join the team, but her parents wouldn't let her. So it's kind of like that's one thing too with parents situation. But then I know for colleges reaching out too, that's another thing with social media reaching out. So maybe if they see our post, they'll want to like recruit one of our girls or guys.
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome for them to see it.
Derek's going to keep you guys rolling.
Let's, I know it's hard to believe, but here we are. It's early February, and the high school basketball postseason is upon us. The WPIAL releasing its girls and boys brackets earlier today. Jake, I know you and I were upstairs trying to keep track of it. I mean, it was like
deluge.
It was like bracket release express up there. It was like boom, 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 boom. What were you able to gather about our area teams? What sticks out for you?
Oh, I'm going to have to lean on you guys so much more because like I was just trying to like get letters and numbers in as fast as humanly possible. The brackets are online. By the time this comes out, the first round of games are going to be starting in a few hours. But, if you need a last minute catch up on, what to expect for these tournaments, we have the preview stuff tonight or that's out already Monday evening. And Brendan's working on some things to watch for the basketball tournaments that should be out Tuesday. But I don't know. I don't think too much surprised me necessarily. I think the one thing that threw me was I thought Butler Girls was hosting at first when I was reading the graphics and trying to type everything up. So when I saw the official brackets come back out on WPIAL later, as I was editing myself, seeing them at home on the road threw me for a minute. But I guess I shouldn't really call that one a surprise. It was just like I had it in my head the wrong way.
Yeah, the Butler Girls finished the season on a high note, beat North Allegheny for the first time in like at least a decade and a half, and that put them at second place in their section. I thought that was going to be good enough to get them a home game too. As it turns out, they're the 5 seed Butler Girls, and they're playing at number 4 Cannon McMillan, and Cannon McMillan is making their first playoff appearance in the better part of a decade. I want to go to one thing regarding the boys here is 2 weeks ago Seneca Valley was 8-2 in section.
Mm-hmm.
Butler was 4-6, and at that point, it was still a question as to whether Butler was even going to make the playoffs. Well, they go on I believe it was a 4-game winning streak. Butler to close the season
and finished like 5-1 in the last 6 or something.
Yeah, and Seneca Valley loses their last 5, so they're both in the playoffs. But now Seneca Valley is forced to play a Woodland Hills team. The game's at Seneca, but Woodland Hills has won 4 straight. Seneca's lost 5 straight. It's kind of like the Steelers entering the playoffs. It's not the way you It's not the way you want to enter the playoffs. Obviously the game's going to start. This game's next Monday between Seneca Valley and Woodland Hills. The game's going to start with 0s on the scoreboard. It's going to be even, but Seneca Valley's got some major questions to answer if they want to win that playoff game and move on to the second round against Woodland Hills.
The one I forgot about this. The one observation going to the other Seneca Valley team, the girls, is they avoid Norwin until the championship. Like if you're a Norwin fan who's like, or if you're a Seneca Valley fan who's like, yes, we have a chance, like this team can make a run. This has been a really good team this year. This is the way you needed it to go. They are on the opposite side of the bracket now. They got to face Upper St. Clair in the second round,
Right.
But that's better than Norwin.
Right. I thought Seneca Valley won their section. This is girls with an undefeated section record. I thought that was going to be good enough for the number 2 seed. I figured Norwin was going to be 1. But in the end, as you mentioned, 2-3, bottom line is you avoid Norwin until you get to, if you make it that far, until the championship game. Brendan, you just recently did a story on Seneca Valley's boys. You also did a story earlier this year on Seneca Valley's girls. What sticks out for you about the brackets?
Oh, you stole what I was going to say with Seneca Valley dropping 5 straight, and it's funny because I'm talking to Kevin Trost after the game on Friday night, and they didn't just get beaten. They got beaten bad.
30 points, I believe.
By a team that wasn't making the playoffs, that had nothing to play for. They came in there and, pounded them.
Yep.
Like, it was just interesting to see, but I'm talking to Kevin Trost after the game, and sometimes he's not the most talkative after games, and I'm asking him. First, I asked him if he believes in momentum. He said that he doesn't think that momentum carries from game to game, which I think is an interesting topic in itself. But everything he said, I feel like whenever momentum is high, you're like, yeah, we have momentum, like it's going. But whenever it's not there, you try to say it's not real.
Yeah.
But I was having war flashbacks because I'm sitting there talking to him, asking, so like, how do you guys go from here? And he's like, well, we're in, and now we just got to play, and everything's behind us. Is like, this sounds like Russell Wilson after the Cincinnati game going to the playoffs. Like, I was literally like thinking in my head as he was saying, I was like, oh man.
Well, my question is, they got at the start of the season, Pepin was out and Omasits was out. They got those guys back. You did the feature story on them, how those two guards coming back to the lineup kind of infused energy. And you covered them last week when they got beat by 30 against Pine Richland. What's different? What has changed for them?
They missed a lot of shots early, and in basketball, it's a very basic and simple thing to say, but sometimes that's just the story of a game where you are not making shots. I had the stats. I wasn't able to put them in the story because of the surroundings happening, me writing the story after the game. Didn't have much time to write it. But I don't think they had a field goal until past 4 minutes in. They had, I think, 2 free throw makes before that, but by then they went down 8-0, then it was like 10-2, and Pine Richland was sinking 3 after 3 after 3, and it was exactly what Tro said to me after the game that I wrote in the story. It's them guarding and rebounding. They didn't really do either well, and like you said, it's insane that we're sitting there in the middle of the season like, oh, Butler might not make playoffs, and then they rip off these wins that keep going, and then Seneca Valley is just falling off a cliff. Like, it'll be very interesting to see, and that's what I'm kind of writing about with the What to Watch story, not to give any of up, but the fact that Butler's here without a star, this was supposed to be their down year, and it seems going to the playoffs they're in a much better spot than Seneca Valley is.
We should throw Butler is also playing next Monday. This would be February 17th. Butler is the number 7 seed, is hosting number 10 North Hills, and as I mentioned, Seneca Valley is the 8 seed, is hosting Woodland Hills 9. You can put whatever word you want on it as far as I'm concerned, whether you want to call it momentum or whatever, mindset. A team's confidence, when you're riding high and you're 8-2 and you're headed toward the playoffs, then you lose 5 straight. It's got to affect your mindset. I'm not saying Seneca Valley could come out next Monday and beat Woodland Hills by 10, 15 points, move on to the next round, but their mindset has to be a concern right now.
Yeah, I'd think so too. And with high school kids, you never quite know how they're going to react. Like the beauty of being a high school athlete is that they've got so many other things going on in their life that they go to school the next day or go home, if it's a Friday night, they go home Saturday, they got a weekend hanging out with friends, doing whatever, or going back to practice, where like it's very easy to just like move on from a bad loss. So sometimes it gives them a little bit of like this naivete where they can quickly rebound just because they're like, you look at how, a team will lose like a playoff game, like, and it's just like an emotionally devastating moment, and the season's over, senior, maybe their career's over, whatnot. And 2 days later, they're back in school, laughing with friends. Like, it's kind of the catch-22 of being that young. It's like, it can be so difficult to figure out how do you dig yourself out, but at the same time, there's like, you're so young and naive that you can just kind of like get through it really easily.
I have heard high school coaches tell me that high school coaches in general take a loss or a bad string tougher than the kids do.
Yeah.
Well, something interesting that to you guys' fact there is I talked to Tyler Pepin after the game for a story that I think is going to be a really good, really interesting one that people want to read. And it was his senior night. He's the only senior on the entire team. And his dad unexpectedly passed away a year and a half ago. I talked to him about his journey of kind of accepting that and kind of coming to terms with the fact that happened, kind of starring on the basketball court at the same time, and he had a ton to tell me in that regard, so did his mom. But he's telling me that his teammates are telling him after a senior night loss by, I think it was 30 points. 30 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's telling me that all of his teammates are coming up and apologizing, and he looked at them, he told me, he's like, it's a game. Like, so he has a perspective on life where this isn't as important. It's important to him, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not as impactful or something that's going to weigh on his mind as much as what he's been through already. So, And he's the leader of that team. So if there's anyone that can tell that team, like, hey, let's put these behind us, let's continue on, we have things to do here, it's probably going to be him.
Yeah. I want to pivot for a second and ask Derek a question here. we were talking last week a little bit, just kind of looking at the teams that we have in our area that made the playoffs, which is most of them. Like, who do we think is going to be around for a little bit? And, North Catholic girls, we were pretty confident in for a little bit. Knock boys, we were talking about on, I think, Thursday or Friday together about this is a team that's been hot most of the year. They played really good basketball most of the year. They get the 9 seed. They're going to go to Laurel Highlands on Monday. But then
this is the girls.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is the girls team. So I guess this pivots a little bit from what I was originally going to ask because we were talking about the boys team. But the girls, they've got a Laurel Highlands team, which 8-9. That's a coin flip game traditionally. But then right after that is number 1 Blackhawk. Like, whoa.
Yeah, it's during the season you can look at Knox's schedule. They're in the same conference or section with Oakland Catholic and North Catholic. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Knock lost both of those games, but now that it's playoff time and, you got to win to advance, obviously, I think that experience can come back and benefit now that they're into the playoffs. If they get past Laurel Highlands, which you said, that's pretty much a coin flip, but they play number 1 seed Blackhawk. It's not like they're going to go up against Blackhawk and meet this level of competition they have not faced this year because North Catholic is really good. Nobody would be surprised if they end up winning the WPIAL title. Same thing with Oakland Catholic. So, battle tested. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you, but sometimes it can be enough to keep you in a game against higher caliber competition.
Yeah.
I have a non-WPIAL related question. We talked about Karn City boys having a win. I think it was 4 straight to make playoffs.
Well, they lost the other night.
They lost the other night, so that's over. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They lost to Union on Friday night, so.
Yeah, kind of a shocking score, too. It wasn't like it was close. Union dominated.
I thought if they were going to lose one of their last 2 games, it would be the game they play. I think it's tomorrow night against Keystone because Keystone has like 15 wins. Mm-hmm. And here they lost to Union. So, yeah, it's on the other side of that, it's Karn City's girls who are 18-2 right now. So they got they're going to be heading into the playoffs.
You're hoping to get the Clarion. I know you are. You're hoping to head up there.
I'm going to take my camper up there and camp out for like three days. I'll file from up there.
Any other surprises with the seedings for our local teams that you guys saw, like ones that you're like, oh, that was a lot higher or lower than I expected?
Well, I mentioned Seneca Valley's girls. I thought they were good enough to get the 2, but 2, 3, I still think they can make a run. It's not a huge difference between 2 and 3. I do want to point one thing out about North Catholic boys. You look, they got the number 2 seed. They got beaten out by Bell Vernon. And you look at North Catholic's boys' schedule this year. They opened the season 0-3. But I remember this is 6, 7, 8 years ago when they were coached by a guy named Dave Long. They always front load their schedule with really, really tough non-section opponents. And they played this year 2 schools from Ohio at the start of the season who are really good, and then another team from Maryland who's really good. They started the season 0-3, but it's all part of their plan down there. They want to go out and win every game they play, but the point during the regular season is to prep yourself to make a long run. And North Catholic, they always have that incredibly tough non-section schedule, and they usually are able to play pretty deep into March, actually, into the state playoffs. So we'll see how it turns out this year for them.
You wrote the preview story for the WPIAL brackets on Knock Boys, which is what I was getting at until I misread the brackets a minute ago. They're the 5 seed in 4A boys. Think that's fair? What do you think of their lineup? Who they might be facing? They've got West Mifflin to start on Friday, and Avonworth on deck right after that next Wednesday.
Yeah. The thing with Knock is, they're a 5 seed. But they did also finish number 2 in their section because North Catholic won that section, and there's 3 sections. Mm-hmm. So you figure it doesn't always work out this way, but you figure 3 sections. The 3 section champions are often going to be looked at, I would say, in a lot of cases as the top 3 seeds, and then you get down to the second place teams, and Knock is one of 3 second place teams. And I guess as it turns out here, they were viewed as the second best second place team out of 3 different sections. So I'm not really surprised by that seed at all. And, I think they're going to be able to take care of West Mifflin. We'll see how things turn out. It's a 12 seed coming to Knock to play the 5th seeded Knights. And it could happen. We'll see if it does. It would be the 3rd time this year they play a possible North Catholic Knock rematch in the playoffs. They've met twice this year already. and they split with each other. So a third matchup would be pretty cool and exciting.
They'd either match up in the championship or they'd match up in one of the PIAA consolation seeding games. 5 teams in 4A go to states, and they're on opposite sides of the bracket, so we could see them, down the line here.
We love consolation brackets.
Love consolations.
An all Butler County final. How about that? Possible North Catholic match.
Think we're going to cover that one?
No.
No. Brendan, you're going to be down there. You can take my camper down there after I get back from Clarion.
Get the mileage on it. All right, Derek, so I learned this last night, so I figured maybe you'd want to take a stab here.
I have no choice.
How many number 1 hits does Kendrick Lamar have?
Oh, my God. Okay. Stop the show. We're done. There is one player in the Super Bowl era in the NFL in his first 5 seasons to have 4,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards. Who is that player?
First 5 seasons in the NFL,
Yep.
4,000 receiving,
Yep.
and 1,000 rushing.
Yep.
Okay, give me a chance.
All right, so taking my mind off of last night's Super Bowl, unlike Jake, who probably won't stop thinking about it until maybe April or May, I had a dream last night, actually, that I already started an MLB The Show season, which was unexpected to me. I woke up and I wondered why I thought of that, but I'm sure we've all played sports video games in here. Maybe not you, Laura. Maybe. I don't even know if you play video games. Yeah, you do.
I grew up with brothers, so it wasn't an option. I learned old school Atari, moved to Nintendo, and I've played some PlayStation, but that's about where it stopped.
All right,
Yes.
so I want your answer on this too then.
Oh, jeez.
What is the most memorable video game sports experience you guys have had? Just take that for whatever first comes to mind about playing a sports video game.
I think I played Madden once.
Does
And
Pong
I'm just trying to
apply
understand
here?
how to move the
like
players.
the old
Sport.
Atari game
It's
where it was like,
sport.
think,
Wait, which one?
Pong?
Riveting.
Oh, Pong, that's right.
I just remember playing a lot of NFL Street 2 with
That's
my
cool.
brother
That's
and,
cool.
and my best friend in high school.
I like that.
We would just play it for hours and hours.
You
and
like
hours.
jumping off the walls
Oh,
and stuff?
absolutely.
I actually, my PS2 disc for NFL Street 2, that was the one with Ricky Williams on the front. Is that right?
I think you're right.
Yeah, I've had it since, I don't know, I was in 7th grade. And the disc stopped working like last year before you started working here. So I was like, oh, man. So I took a paper towel with some water and like scrubbed it really hard and it started working again, but it freezes up at random points. So I think I'm just going to buy a new one because that game is awesome.
That is one of
like,
the best games I've ever played.
I would do like the run the street thing where you you can pick up players as you go, and I wouldn't make them wear all mismatched stuff like the chains and the shorts and stuff. I would have them have like a team uniform, like everyone would have to
I never
wear the
got
same
that
thing.
deep.
But
NFL Street 2 was sick.
Yeah.
it was
Really
awesome.
good game.
What is that on?
It was PS2 and
yeah,
Xbox.
It was like 2 console
360.
generations ago.
You're talking first memory. I mean, I was playing Atari when in like 82, 83. And
I didn't say I said whatever favorite memory. You don't have to go first.
Well, Super Tecmo Bowl. Absolutely.
Tecmo Bowl.
Ooh,
I
I've
mean,
never
on
played
there,
that one.
you could play the entire 1991 season, like literally the entire schedule. It kept stats for you. I played it twice. I went through the entire schedule, and that's 256 games, by the way.
Oh, so you can play.
I had no life.
You could play it as every single game every week, not just
Every
like one
single-
team for 16 weeks.
You
Okay,
can sim
okay.
it. You can sim if you want to, but of course,
Yeah.
I like details. I played every single game in the regular season, 256 games.
So-
and I did it twice.
The funny thing that comes up for me is not a win that I've had on any sports video game. I remember I won a Big 12 championship on the last play. I was Iowa State, I think, and I was on like the 10-yard line, and I scrambled with the quarterback and scored a touchdown to win with no time left. That was like a win that I remember. I was like 16, standing in front of my TV at my dad's house. But on the same TV, I played Madden 11, my favorite video game ever, and I was facing Philly. I lost 93-14 on all Madden.
Damn right.
I don't quit. I'm not a quitter. I actually feel like if you quit like during a game and replay that game, then like it's tainted.
Yeah.
So if like I accidentally exit a game, I'm like, oh, I don't want to play this franchise anymore because I feel like I cheated. So
I got a really good one. This was like the first sports game I ever got was Madden 99. It was after the Broncos repeat title. So I think this was still when Madden was on the cover himself. But like that Broncos team's loaded. So I'd never played a sports video game before. All I had was on the computer because I didn't have console at that time. But someone got me this game or got it off Classic Book Club or whatever. And so I'd play it all the time as the Broncos, and I didn't know how to pass. So I'd let the computer do the throwing mechanic at that time because it was automated. Like if you wanted to just let it throw the ball, it would throw. So it would throw like swing passes to Terrell Davis all the time because Terrell Davis was always open because the defense didn't know how to guard a screen pass. Well, the one game I went to like save it and close out because we were running somewhere, baseball game, something, errands, whatever. You know, I'm 8 years old. And I turned the computer back on later and realized I never actually closed out of the game. So I was on offense, and my team was backed up to like the 1 inch yard line. It just kept getting delay of games for like 3 hours.
Oh my gosh!
Did the referee step in and say, "You either run a play or we're gonna give the other team a safety"?
I really should have just like looked at how many penalties and yards I suffered on that because I had to be like 120, 130 penalties.
Oh, that's funny.
And so you know what I did? I didn't quit. I didn't restart and be like, okay, this is corrupted. Like I didn't do this right. I went and was like, okay, let's just try to run this play. And I scored a 99.9 yard touchdown drive.
I actually used to when I was a kid, we had Madden 06. It's like the second Madden I got. My neighbor gave it to me when he lived in Cranberry. And I would always back myself up to the 1 yard line and try to run 99-yard touchdowns with LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh, people will do that with Culpepper and Vic all the time too.
With Vic, it wasn't that hard in 2004. No.
Vic was the only video game player that I was ever scared of defending. Legitimately scared of defending. Yeah. He was a cheat code.
I wish you played Madden still, Derek.
You know what I miss about Madden? The older Maddens where the historical teams are on there.
Yes.
You could go back and play like a rematch of Super Bowl 12. I mean, that was awesome.
Madden is the way that like you mentioned, like when you moved away from Philly and you were sad you left your friends. One of my best friends lives in Virginia, and it's so weird because we're best friends, but we really don't like converse one-on-one that much. And he and I will text each other during the week. We don't talk about like what's going on, like, hey man, like what's up in life. We just say, I just won my franchise game 40-30. My running back had this many yards, and then I'll send him like a highlight that I like recorded on my Xbox. Like that's our daily interaction at this point.
All right, we got an answer for you to give, Derek.
Yeah, remind me of the question here.
Who is the only NFL player in the Super Bowl era to have 4,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards during his first 5 seasons? Another hint is he's the only wide receiver with 20 rushing touchdowns in NFL history.
Wait, I might know this answer.
All right,
I know you hate him, so
I love that.
That doesn't help me now.
All right, I'm gonna say Eric Metcalf.
Cordero Patterson? No.
Debo Samuel.
Really?
Yep.
He has.
I learned that last night. Yeah.
Wow.
'Cause
I'm 2 games under 500.
I wrote
now.
a piece for one of my like
tanking.
freelance shows about like 5
You got to go for a quarterback in the first round, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of BC 3, quarterback. Thanks, guys.
See you next week.
Go Birds. That's how we're going to end this show. Go Birds.
OH.
Hey,
LY.
you know what? You didn't say Bailey's name today.
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
A phone call.
Oh.
I tried tricking her into thinking there's.
We encourage you to subscribe to the Butler Eagle YouTube channel and Apple or Spotify podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast and at Butler Eagle News. Goodbye.